Great, Wednesday, cool, first day of the month. It's been a decent start. I mean, outside of trading, haven't really been able to actually look at the charts today, so this will be a first look at the charts today with you as well. Had a water leak in the house, so been up and down, sorting that out, welding, cutting pipes, you name it, literally been doing the whole bit today. So that's been pretty much quite a lot of today, of today's consumption. But nevertheless, it seems like just from having a little flick on the charts every now and again that there has been some movement in the charts. Euro USD is looking very nice as well, and a few other pairs. So let's have a look at it. So the DXY, we're looking at this on the weekly. We're still in that short movement, which is great. It looks like that we're finally making that move lower now. So as we forecasted, we can see that we had this bit of price over here, this bit of price over here, which we looked at, which lined up with this high. It was tapped in, and then we retraced. There was a sell opportunity here. Obviously, I don't trade DXY, probably an opportunity over there to take a trade 50 pips, but to that low, like I said before, it's not really worth the risk reward in my opinion. That's the 4-hour time frame. On the 1-hour time frame, perhaps maybe there was a refinement of a trade in here. Not a trade that I would take personally at this point in my journey, but you know, for sure there was a trade there, and then here we are. So you know, you have to really read between the lines with these patterns, but at the same time, this is kind of more than enough. We had the rejection from that high, and now we're just pushing lower. So all I'm really caring about is not this trade, us getting to the low, and then when we do get to the low, how and what happens from there. Now obviously if we come in over here and then we start coming up here and then we start coming down, that's something else, you know. Then we could be looking at something else. This could become something like that, you know, and then, you know, it could just go off. You know, there's many variations of what could happen, but the most important thing now is that once we get to this low, what do we do? Do we carry on going down, then pull back up, or do we just go down, create continuation, and then correction, and then continuation? So that's basically it for the DXY. Pretty straightforward and simple. Not really much else to really report on it, but I will be more inclined to look for that pullback. So I am looking for that sort of, you know, dip low, back up sort of trade, and I think that'll be more in my favor. GA, you know, I think at one point I was a little bit annoyed because, you know, this was the trade that I originally took with 30 odd pips over here somewhere, and then 30 pips, and it did run pretty well, to be honest. It was a pretty good run, and then it started declining, which no surprise, you know, these things happen. So, you know, at the same time this coming down, it's not really a problem. I was able to lock up profit around about here anyway, so quite happy with that. And yeah, so out of the market now. It looks like, you know, correction. Does this just become something a little bit more complex? I'm not sure. You know, how is this going to play out? I would really like to see that. This doesn't look like my typical middle section as well, so I'm not looking to just take a long in these areas here. But at the same time, can we get some sort of aggressive little push low, and then, you know, is this the gameplay? Like, is this something that could form during February? Possibly, because if that's the gameplay, then honestly that's going to be a solid buy movement. Honestly, this little bit would form as, you know, complicated, but this could be a forecast here, and then could be looking at that, but I don't think that's likely. I think what we'd be looking at is if we get this structured approach here, honestly that would be a really nice gameplay. But that second touch is more than enough, this bit over here. You know, just getting that push down from here to here would be enough for us to just go long. So at that point there, you know, I'll be looking for that long position, but not gonna cross off the board that we do have room for that really nice sort of squeeze low. The angle's not really gonna be determined until we have the second bit over here. So this could even come up here and then become a little bit more complicated, but you know, it could become something a little bit like this, and then we won't know the angle till it plays out, but could be something like that. You know, at the same time, we just don't know at this point. So best thing to do is just stay patient, just wait for the cards to be revealed, and then when the structure is there, we'll be able to take it. There's always this option as well where we could go and it could be a running channel, it could be counter trend. At the moment, like I said, it's not the typical middle section, and then we could go correction and just go up. You know, there's quite a few different variations of what can play out now. So I think for those reasons, that's one of the reasons why I would not just jump into the market, and I'll be a little bit more patient and wait for it to kind of show its tail to myself. Euro Aussie, on the other hand, I think with this one, despite GA and where it is, you know, GA and EA both can do this, but I think EA as well has more than enough for it to go. So, you know, I'm also out of this position as well. However, I truly believe that, you know, if out of those, if one is going to go, you know, EA has context. You know, we've rejected from this, we created something new, we create a bottom here. It's definitely possible, like GA, that we can just reject aggressively, come down here and then go. But I think at this moment in time, this can just keep slowly making its way higher, and we might see that as a gameplay. So just keeping an eye out for structure. At the moment, there's not really much for me to go with. Yeah, I can't really personally say there's anything that I can really take a trade on this, so happy to stay out of that for now. The next one is Aussie US dollar, which as well, at the moment, I need structure. I think with this aggressive pullback, it's kind of giving me a little bit of relief because I missed it, but I think if I was in that trade, I'd be somewhat kind of pissed off at this point, because, you know, I'd really enjoy being in the short, but it is what it is. You know, it's trading at the end of the day. So yeah, just essentially going to wait for a message from the market now. Personally, I think, you know, we could tap into one of these points here, and at that point there we might get some sort of, you know, structured approach to it, and then be able to kind of read between the lines and say, okay, cool, so this then comes corrective, shoots up, and then we just sell off, and then that becomes like a two touch. I think that's possible because we do have more than enough on the higher time frame here to say that the short is on the table. This doesn't have to correct and go all the way up. It's possible as well, but I think at this point in time we could see that sort of corrective move. Just depends on this middle section, how it develops, how it finalizes. It's not my typical middle section, it's not my typical trade. I think, you know, there's a section here where I would say that's my override point. If we do get a rejection there, I could look for it. At the moment, I'm not really convinced. I think I would be more inclined to want to wait for a three touch, but that's one thing that I think is going to be a bit hard to really kind of play with, because how likely is it I'm going to get something like that, right? It's just, yeah, perhaps I might just miss it. You know, it is what it is. Better trades on the table. I think GBP US dollar might have been one I would have taken today for sure. I would have seen this and probably just waited for this to play out. That would have been a trade that for sure looks very nice. And then that would have been a short. Oh man, that's a good trade. Anyway, the reduced risk is possibly there, but I think the pips, it's not really something 50 pips. But then again, if I'm trading going at the higher time frame, GU, what am I going to be looking at? I'm looking at probably around about 8% on that trade. I mean, for a 50 odd pip stop loss, yeah. Then again, I have this low here, and I think a less than, you know, 1 to 8 is not really in my favor, so probably won't take that trade. Is what it is, unfortunately. Right now, I think this is solid. If you got GU, that's fucking great. I think it's phenomenal, that trade right now. Tapped into that high push down. We have a nice little corrective pattern here. It's not the most progressive sort of price move action to the low, but I think there's more than enough for it to go. Looking at it on the daily as well, we can totally reject from here and come to this low before we even come up here. So I'll keep an eye on that one for sure. We'll see how it develops. If there's an entry, if there isn't, it is what it is, but that looks solid. Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD looks nice. Aussie CAD, I think, just like Aussie US dollar with that corrective price action, I just don't know where I'm going to be looking to take that short. So for that pure reason, I think I'd be more than happy to just kind of stay out, because I don't want to be putting it here, putting it here, putting it here. I'll just be trying to take a trade anywhere at that point. I'm going to be waiting to see if price can correct, come all the way back up, same as Aussie US dollar. If we do get something like that, that could be of interest to me. If not, I'm more than happy to stay out, because there isn't really anything to support me at this point. I'll be looking at, you know, trade. Well, yeah, it's just nothing at the moment for me at all. Euro US dollar. Sick, man, honestly. Euro US dollar. I saw it yesterday, and had a couple people in Discord that were basically talking about this trade, and I just briefly saw it, and I was thinking like, you know, I just didn't see it. I couldn't see it, and I was thinking that wasn't what I was looking at. I was looking down here. They saw this, tapped into this, and then they had that aggressive 1 hour push away. And you know, that 1 hour push away is great, and then it was followed by a small correction, which I think that at that point there is where instinct really kicked in, and it's like, you know, do you know what you're doing here? And for me, I wouldn't have known at this point. I wouldn't have been looking for it. So there's a 15-minute, if I clear around the 5, and then it was just basically this little bit of price action here. And yeah, so essentially that was basically the trade that I saw a couple people get into, and then it was taking a reduced risk over here, and yeah, 13 pips. And I think now you'd be running pretty decent, actually, to be fair. Yeah, it's turned into a 7% position. You know, with management at this point, I think, you know, I would probably be somewhat aggressive, and I'd be holding my management around about about 6%. So I'd be aggressive at 6% now, as we're approaching these highs. And then if it goes aggressively, it goes aggressively, and I'll be more aggressive with my management, just following it along. But there's definitely room for it to potentially go up much further. So solid trade, 6% would be locked in. And yeah, I think, you know, great trade for those who caught it. Honestly, I think, you know, that is a 10 out of 10 trade in my opinion. GBP yen. GBP yen is unfortunately dripping out on me. I didn't quite get what I was forecasting, so I'm just going to be a little bit more patient with it. It was one that I was happy to wait for quite a while. You know, I think at this point in time, I'm not going to even entertain it because of the aggressive short. And I think, you know, if it sells off, it sells off. It is what it is at the end of the day. Same applies for the other yen pairs. You know, I had 3 yen pairs. I did put Aussie yen here just because I was looking at something, but GBP yen and New Zealand yen, you know, I think, you know, they had so much potential. Still probably do, just need some time. And I think, yeah, it's just at this point, it's not in my best interest to be looking for a position on here. Perhaps maybe if we got a strong retrace and it pulled, there's a possibility I could look for something, but I think with how it's moving, it's going to need another week. When it's ready, it's going to be very much ready, but at the moment we're far off. So besides that, that's basically it for the week. I think GBP US dollar is the prime trade here. Honestly, I think for those who saw it, caught it, well done. Honestly, I like that trade a lot. That would have been one trade for me, the only one trade I would have taken after my last position. I think I made like 6 or 7% on the last one. I think the trade was on GA and EA, yeah, GA, EA. But nevertheless, I'm not bothered at this point now. I just want to see how this pans out. Yeah, I think looking at it, Euro, US dollar, we'll just have to keep an eye on this now. Looking at the DXY, I think we might just get that push, that aggressive selling push on this. This will go aggressively bullish, probably come up all the way up here, and then at that point there we can start thinking about, you know, how would we want to take this, or if there is a position, how would we look to add into that position. So at the moment, for Euro USD, it's still continuing that strong bull run. GBP yen, New Zealand yen, US yen, looks like they're on the decline, but we can get a pullback, so keeping that in mind. But you know, they definitely have that short waiting for them. And then I think Aussie CAD and US dollar, Aussie US dollar, I think needs a little bit of time for me. I'm not going to just jump into that. I need some sort of, you know, signal from the market. EA and GA, gonna let him go for now. EA, I think, definitely has that potential to just go. I think at the moment I'll keep my eye on it for sure, because I don't think at this current moment in time I will be looking to go short at all. I think the ball is still on the table, but I think looking at GA, I think GA could just drop off and then come back up. So that's basically what we forecasted on Sunday. We knew that one of them could potentially just keep going and the other one could just get very messy. But overall, I think GU top pair today. If you guys were looking at anything else, be more than happy to have a look at that as well. I think there's some solid pairs on the table. You know, I don't think there was much else that I could really say that I would have wanted to opt in for. Euro New Zealand is looking very nice. You know, this is more than I would have expected, but because we're on Thursday, we could be ready by very soon actually for this particular trade. Would I opt into putting this on my watch list? Probably not, to be honest. It's not what I planned for. I've already got enough, but I have got space to add one more. But I'm not gonna kind of dip my toes in anything. I think the trades that I was looking for I missed. Oh, this one was great, wasn't it? What happened here? What was this? Monday. Oh, we sold off. Yeah, Tuesday. Honestly, that's good. You know, that was well forecasted as well. That was really good. And I took that off watch as well. Anyway, it was just so correct, but has potential. GBP, New Zealand CAD, nothing there for me. New Zealand Swiss, New Zealand US dollar, possible short. Nah, USD CAD. Oh wow. USD CAD is interesting. Come back and I'll analyze that later. USD Swiss, nothing. US dollar ZAR. South African Rand. Nah. Yeah, I'm happy with what I got so far. Just gonna be patient. Probably won't take any trades this week looking at how the markets are. There were some good trades though. I think Euro US dollar over here, GBP US dollar over there, and earlier in the week, Friday last week, trade over here, perhaps maybe a trade on Monday here, early Asian session, typical for Aussie pairs, and then over here as well we had Monday over there, so market open, would have had a trade, but even so, I think phenomenal, good play. We'll just see how the week pans out now, but have a good week. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and yeah, hopefully I get everything sorted with the leak and that. I mean, I've basically stopped it for now, but I still will need to do a bit of work, so we'll see how that goes.